you ignore everything else today, please do not ignore this. Home ownership is under attack. And you guessed it, it's by our own government. Welcome to my channel. I am Laura Lalaki, also known as the Realty Goddess. And for years, I have taken pride in keeping you educated on home ownership. I've taught first time homeowners classes since 2006, and I am a champion for helping you to own your own home sanctuary. And today, I will continue to press forward in helping you build your wealth with home ownership. So, as the world is reeling politically, home ownership is now under direct attack. So, let's discuss it. A coalition of four nonprofit fair housing organizations has filed a lawsuit against HUD, Urban Housing Development, and the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, alleging an unlawful cancellation of nearly 30 million in federal grant funding. The lawsuit, which was filed in Massachusetts District Court, argues that the decision to terminate the funds has jeopardized critical fair housing initiatives and disproportionately impacts small nonprofits that depend on these grants to uphold the Federal Fair Housing Act. So let's get a little background on the fair housing grants. The Fair Housing Initiative Program, FHIP, provides funding for nonprofit organizations that work to combat housing discrimination and promote equal access to housing opportunities. Now, the grants are distributed at the state and local levels, supporting small organizations that help enforce the Fair Housing Act by investigating complaints, conducting outreach, and providing legal assistance to individuals who face discrimination. Many of these nonprofits have annual budgets of less than 1 million, making them really heavily dependent on these federal grants to remain operational. The sudden revocation of 30 million in funding has left many of these organizations struggling, with some being forced to reduce services or lay off employees. Now, this lawsuit, filed by four fair housing organizations, argues that the grant cancellations amount to an overreach of authority by HUD and DOGE. And this violates legal protocols that govern federal funding. So, all right, who is suing and why? And I do believe there will be others coming up and stepping up to bat on this, especially places like California. The organizations leading this lawsuit include San Antonio Fair Housing Council, and reports indicate that the funding cut forced them to lay off more than half of their workforce, making it significantly harder to provide fair housing services to residents in need. Now, another one is the Massachusetts Fair Housing Center. This organization claims that it has to scale back services due to the loss of grant funding, and this is limiting its ability to assist victims of housing discriminations. Now, here's another one. Intermountain Fair Housing Council, and that's in Idaho. Now, like its counterparts, this organization was forced to reduce its operations, affecting its ability to advocate for fair housing rights. Now, listen, all of these lawsuits contend that HUD and DOGE acted outside of their authority when they decided to terminate the grants. The plaintiffs argue that these funds were appropriated by Congress, meaning that the agencies had no legal right to cancel them without proper justification. So, a great attorney, Lila Miller, and she is an attorney at the civil rights law firm Relman Colfax, is representing these nonprofits. And here's what she says: Congress makes the law, Congress sets the boundaries of agency action. And this statement underscores a central legal argument in the case. Federal agencies do not have the power to override funding decisions made by Congress. If the court rules in favor of the nonprofits, it could set a precedent preventing other federal agencies from making similar unilateral funding cuts in the future. So, the impact of losing these grants could possibly be this: the loss of the funding has already immediate and severe consequences for many fair housing organizations. So, without these grants, the ability to investigate housing discrimination complaints, provide legal support, and conduct community outreach efforts has been significantly reduced. Now, what does that mean? That means the classes that I teach, that I help you learn about the process of home ownership, where you learn what it takes to be a homeowner, where you come and learn about loans, where you come and learn about home buying process, where you come and learn about budgeting, where you come and learn about inspections, where you come and learn about everything that you need to do to be a responsible homeowner, has now been reduced or cut out or severely understaffed. I don't get paid for that when I do nonprofit. I do it out of the love of my heart. But this situation has particularly impacted low income communities and marginalized groups who often rely on these nonprofits for assistance when facing housing discrimination and home ownership. Many fear that without adequate enforcement, discriminatory practices in the housing market could increase, leaving vulnerable individuals without the protections guaranteed by the federal law. So, what is the larger pattern of fair housing challenges? Housing advocates such as me argue that this lawsuit is part of a larger pattern of challenges facing the enforcement of fair housing laws. While the Fair Housing Act is designed to prevent discrimination, its effectiveness depends on active enforcement, which is carried out by small nonprofit organizations. So, if funding for these initiatives continues to be cut or eliminated, experts warn that it could weaken the protections for renters and homebuyers across our nation. So, what happens next? Because I think we're all kind of tired, but I don't want you to get tired. I want you to get focused. As the lawsuit progresses, the court will determine whether HUD and DOGE had the legal authority to revoke the funding or if their decision violated federal law. If the nonprofits succeed, it could lead to the restoration of the grant funding and further legal protections against federal agencies' decisions regarding funding allocations. For now, fair housing advocates continue to raise awareness with the importance of funding enforcement efforts, ensuring that all individuals have equal access to housing opportunities free from discrimination. Listen, I am a huge advocate of you being able to own your home. Owning your home is more powerful than you absolutely think it is. Why do you think that they continue to come after you for home ownership if it wasn't so important? Why do you think places like BlackRock and other huge corporations are buying up communities only to rent them back to you? It is to stifle your power of home ownership because it is power. When you own your own home, when you own your own home, you start building the generational wealth that you need for yourself and your families. Why do you think it's so important that they continue to come after you for this? I would love to hear your thoughts. Comment below, like, share, and subscribe. And if you're working toward getting your finances in order to purchase a home, I have a free resource for you. Download my free budget planner. It will absolutely go over everything that you need, what it means to look at your debt to income ratio. It'll break it down. It'll do everything that can help you get on the right path for home ownership. And whether we have these grants or not, I hope that you do not lose hope because you can own, and we will continue to fight for you to own a home. Now, where do you get this free budget? You can download it here on my website. And I look forward to helping you buy your first home here in America or abroad because I am an international real estate agent and I have resources for that too as well. So until next time, go be a good human. You never know when a simple smile will save somebody's life. Sugar.